Part 1. The Child in Tokyo Station. Picture this. A 7-year-old child is standing alone inside Tokyo Station, one of the busiest transportation hubs on Earth. Thousands of adults rush past, businessmen, tourists, students, everyone moving fast. Yet somehow, this child looks completely calm. He checks the signs, finds the correct platform, boards the train, and continues his journey alone. No parent, no babysitter, no GPS tracker. Just a child navigating a world designed for adults. Now imagine the same scene in New York, or London, or Los Angeles. Many people would assume something had gone terribly wrong. But in Japan, this is remarkably ordinary. In fact, children as young as 6 often travel to school on their own. They ride trains, navigate crowded stations, run errands for their families, and somehow, they do it with a level of confidence and responsibility that leaves many adults amazed. So what's going on? Why do Japanese children seem so independent at such a young age? Are they simply more mature? Are Japanese parents less protective? Or is something deeper happening beneath the surface? Stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you'll discover 3 powerful principles that help Japanese children develop confidence, responsibility, and independence. And more importantly, you'll discover what these principles reveal about human nature itself. Because the answer has very little to do with trains, and almost everything to do with how human beings develop confidence. Now, I know what some people might be thinking. Japan is different, the culture is unique. That would never work where I live, and that's a fair point. But here's what's fascinating. Researchers studying child development across the world have found that independence isn't something children are born with. It's something that is carefully built, and many of the practices used by Japanese parents align surprisingly well with what modern psychology tells us about confidence, resilience, and emotional growth. The secret isn't stricter discipline, it's not more rules. And it's definitely not pushing children away before they're ready. Instead, it begins with a simple idea. Trust before control. That belief changes everything. The confidence loop. Most people think confidence comes first, then independence follows. Japanese parenting often assumes the opposite. Independence comes first, confidence follows. Think about how most of us respond when children struggle. We jump in, we help, we remind, we warn, we protect. And of course, we do it because we care. But Japanese parents often start from a different assumption. Children are more capable than we think, and because of that belief, responsibility begins early. A young child carries their own backpack, puts away their own shoes, helps prepare meals, cleans up after themselves. None of these tasks are particularly difficult. That's exactly the point. Independence isn't built through giant challenges. It's built through tiny victories repeated every day. Many parents accidentally make life too convenient for their children. We tie their shoes, pack their bags, solve their problems, organize their schedules. And over time, children begin to believe that adults are responsible for managing life. Japanese parents often send a different message. This is something you can do, not perfectly, not immediately, but eventually, and every successful attempt becomes evidence. Evidence that the child is capable. Evidence becomes belief. Belief becomes confidence. And confidence creates even more independence. Psychologists call this self-efficacy. The belief that I can influence what happens to me. Decades of research suggest that self-efficacy predicts future success more reliably than talent alone. Because people who believe they can solve problems are more likely to attempt difficult things. And people who attempt difficult things grow. The confidence loop starts small, but over time, it becomes powerful. Part some productive struggle. Now let's move to the second principle. And this one might feel uncomfortable, because it requires parents to do less. Imagine a child struggling to zip up a jacket. They're frustrated, moving slowly, making mistakes. Most adults instinctively step in. We can finish the task in 3 seconds. Why let the child struggle for 3 minutes? Japanese parents often choose a different path. They wait, they watch, they allow room for effort. Modern parents often believe love means removing obstacles. Japanese parenting asks a different question. What if overcoming obstacles is exactly how children grow? This is one of the deepest differences between protection and preparation. Protection says, "I'll solve this for you." Preparation says, "I believe you can solve this yourself." The child wrestles with the zipper, tries again, fails, tries again, and finally succeeds. To an adult, it seems insignificant. To the child, it's transformative. Because they didn't borrow someone else's competence. They built their own. Researchers call this productive struggle. And it's one of the strongest predictors of resilience. Children who are constantly rescued often become dependent on external help. Children who are supported while facing manageable challenges learn something much more valuable. They learn that frustration is survivable. Failure is temporary, and effort matters. The next time your child encounters a small obstacle, try something different. Pause before helping, give them a moment. You may discover they're capable of far more than you imagined. Part 4. The Paradox of Independence. Now here's where many people misunderstand Japanese parenting. When they see independent children, they assume emotional distance. They imagine strict parents, cold parents, demanding parents. But the reality is almost the opposite. Japanese independence grows from connection, not separation. And this leads us to the third principle. The paradox of independence. Here is the paradox. The most independent children are often the ones who spend their earliest years feeling deeply connected. At first glance, this makes no sense. Shouldn't independence come from separation? Psychologists discovered the opposite. Children explore the world when they feel safe, not when they feel abandoned. In the early years, Japanese children often experience an extraordinary level of closeness with their parents. Physical affection is common. Emotional availability is expected. The child develops a deep sense of security. Think about it this way. Imagine climbing a mountain. Would you feel more confident if you knew there was a safety rope attached? Of course, children work the same way. The more secure they feel emotionally, the more willing they are to explore the world independently. Developmental psychology has supported this idea for decades. Children who trust that support is available tend to take healthier risks, try new experiences, make friends more easily, solve problems more confidently, and recover more quickly from setbacks. The stronger the emotional foundation, the farther the child is willing to travel from it. Dependence in the beginning often creates independence later. It's one of the most important truths many parents overlook. Part 5. Ownership changes behavior. And nowhere is this more visible than in Japanese schools. Here's something remarkable. Many Japanese schools expect children to participate in cleaning classrooms, serving lunches, organizing supplies, and caring for shared spaces. No one treats these activities as punishment. They're simply part of daily life. Many visitors assume this is about saving money. But that's not the real lesson. The lesson is ownership. People take care of what they help create. It's true for children, it's true for adults, and it's true for entire societies. When students clean their own classrooms, they stop seeing the school as someone else's responsibility. It becomes their responsibility. Ownership changes behavior. Children learn that they aren't merely consumers of a community, they're contributors to it. And when children repeatedly contribute, something powerful happens. Responsibility stops feeling like a chore. It becomes part of their identity. A child who regularly helps begins to think, "I'm helpful." A child who regularly solves problems begins to think, "I'm capable." A child who regularly contributes begins to think, "I matter." And once identity changes, behavior becomes much easier to sustain. Part 6. What parents can learn. So what can parents learn from all of this? You don't need to move to Japan. You don't need to transform your entire parenting style overnight. Start small. Choose one responsibility your child can own completely. Maybe it's preparing their school bag. Maybe it's feeding a pet. Maybe it's setting the dinner table. Then let them do it consistently. Resist the urge to perfect it. Resist the urge to take over. Next, trust the process. Productive struggle. Not every frustration needs immediate intervention. Not every problem requires a rescue mission. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give children is the opportunity to discover their own strength. And finally, remember that independence grows from connection. Spend time building trust, listening, being present. Because children who feel secure are far more likely to become confident, independent, and resilient. Part 7. The real goal of parenting. Perhaps the real goal of parenting isn't raising obedient children. And it isn't raising successful children either. Perhaps the real goal is raising capable human beings. Human beings who can face uncertainty, solve problems, recover from failure, and move through the world without constant supervision. Because one day, every parent faces the same challenge. We have to let go. The question is not whether our children will eventually enter the world alone. The question is whether we've prepared them for that moment. And perhaps that's what Japanese parenting understands so well. Independence isn't taught in a single lesson. It's built slowly, one responsibility, one challenge. One act of trust at a time. A child doesn't become independent because adults constantly rescue them. A child becomes independent because adults believe they can grow. And perhaps that's the most beautiful balance of all. To give children roots strong enough to feel secure, and wings strong enough to fly on their own. If this video gave you a new perspective on parenting and human development, share it with someone who might find it helpful. And if you'd like more insights into psychology, culture, and the invisible forces that shape who we become, subscribe to Blueprint of Us. Because every culture is a blueprint. And every blueprint reveals something about us. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.